Welcome to Tech Talk, y'all.
Hello, and welcome to Tech Talk, y'all, episode 350. I am Sanjay Park, and I'm always ready.
And I'm Adam Walker, and we have an app-tastic episode for you today. You like that? I like that. I like taking words and making them into other words. Like, so for example, you know, I think I mentioned before, like we got a Jeep recently, and I'll drop off my daughter at dance, and I'll wait for her to get about 50 yards away, and then I'll yell, "Have a Jeep-tastic day!" And she thinks that's the worst thing in the world because she's in ninth grade, and I think it's hilarious. So
she's right. You're wrong.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. But we have an app-tastic episode. We have a lot.
It's
to
an
today.
app-tasty.
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. So let's dive in. WhatsApp will send messages to other apps soon. Here's how it will look. So does this mean that WhatsApp is going to basically like compete with Beeper? That's kind of how I read this. Is that correct?
I think it's more like instant messaging across platforms.
Yeah, but that's what Beeper does. I mean, it brings all your different.
Beeper brings them all together into one. The different ones. This is just interoperable with others that want to interoperate with WhatsApp.
Oh,
so WhatsApp's not going to pull in like your LinkedIn messages.
I see. It's sending messages from WhatsApp into something else.
Right. Or other things can send into WhatsApp. But fully end-to-end encrypted using the Signal protocol. So good. Here's not the great part of it. You got to be in the EU for this to work.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's, after the election, there'll be time. I'm just saying.
That's not us, so that's unhelpful.
Speaking of unhelpful.
And no, don't like it. Don't need to buy your cars.
Speaking of unhelpful and creepy.
Yep. Ford seeks a patent for tech that listens to driver conversations to serve ads. No. That's all I have to say. No. No thanks.
What I want to understand is who would ever think this is a good idea to because it's going to get out there in the public, and like you're kind of the creepy uncle at that point. You know what I'm saying? Like you're like, are
they going to sell like the two versions of their cars? Like, hey, this is the one with ads, and this is the ad free version that costs more.
That's or they're going to do what Amazon Kindle did. Like here's the car with ads. You can pay an extra $3,000 at any time for the no ads option.
To get no ads. Yeah. Hey, Ford, you're not Hulu, and you're not a Kindle. Like, don't do this. This is not okay.
Idea. It's a terrible idea.
It's not good. Don't do it.
All right. Is it now? I'm going to mess up the pronunciation. Is it Huawei? What's the name of this company?
I think it's Huawei.
Huawei. Okay. All right. Huawei is first. And listen, I tagged this and I looked at the video and I thought, holy crap, that might legitimately be the future of the smartphone right there. Like it's Huawei's first trifold phone starts at an eye-watering $2,800. But here's the thing, okay? So when it's folded up, it's not much bigger than the phone that we all have, whatever phone that happens to be at this moment. It's not much. It's a little bigger, not much bigger. When it's all the way unfolded, it's about the size of a regular tablet. So you've literally got a full-size tablet and a full-size phone in one device. So I mean, so the $2,800 in that case makes sense, but like this might be the future of phones.
And it's probably 10 times more easy to break than a regular phone. And so it's clearly worth 10
when
times
you crack
money.
One screen, it's probably going to cost you $1,000 to replace it. Yeah, I mean,
it probably just that crack just goes straight through all three screens.
Yeah, that's what happens. Like you just go ahead and smash it all with a hammer, basically.
Yeah, I mean, it's done.
But I mean, don't you agree though? Like, isn't there potential that like that's where phones go? It's like phone tablet combo all in one.
I don't know. This seems too much.
I mean, then again, I don't use a tablet, and I have yet to actually find any.
I need a tablet phone, but I'm never going to use a tablet.
I don't think I need one. But like, I've never found a good use for a tablet other than playing games or watching shows. Like I've never been able to make use of a tablet.
I like how you put up 3 fingers and then you were like, 2. I don't have a third.
That's probably why I can't use a tablet. I don't even know how to count. So how would I use an advanced piece of technology like a tablet? That's clearly my issue. Yeah.
I have 3 reasons and I fell off after 2.
I lost the third one.
Yeah. I don't know. I think this is like, as I get older, like I do appreciate screen size being bigger to be able to see things.
Given.
So I'm wondering, like, is this a phone for old people so we can see the screen better?
Maybe.
And young people are going to keep with the smaller phones because they don't want to have baggy, like pockets and stuff. I don't know.
I don't know. We are going back to baggy pockets, but that's a whole different podcast. So.
Is that the new thing?
It's becoming a thing. It's becoming a thing. Yeah.
Well, I'm out. I'm out for that trend. This is a trend though that I'm in for. McDonald's rolls out self-serve cash kiosks that could make human cashiers obsolete. So I don't know about you, but I've actually been to some McDonald's that actually have those little self-serve kiosks, but you pay with credit cards. Usually it's when I'm traveling.
Okay.
And you're like in an airport or something and there's nothing else to eat and you're like, okay, Mickey D's.
I'm glad you clarified that because I was very concerned when you said I've been at a McDonald's and you hinted that it had been recent. I was going to have a sidebar conversation with you about that. So.
Yeah, it generally doesn't happen normally unless like a kid wants a McFlurry or something like that or happen to drive by one.
Right. And then 50-50 shot if it's broken down.
Right. I mean, well, it's like 90-10 usually feels like, but this is interesting. But that said, I do worry a little bit because, this is the classic summer kid job.
Yeah.
Being the cashier at a McDonald's and now you're taking that away. So
yeah, that's true. Though my kids never did the cashier thing. They did the lifeguard thing for their summer jobs. So,
my kids never did the cashier thing. Although I did do the cashier thing.
Yeah, you were.
But at Winn-Dixie.
Yeah. You've told me I love it. I would love to see Winn-Dixie Sanjay. Like, I would be
Let's
a
go
great
find
moment.
a Winn-Dixie and I see if I can step back in. I'll be like, I got this.
I'm gonna stack your bag perfectly, so it's not too heavy and it doesn't break. That's what's gonna happen. So. Speaking of doing things perfectly, AI ruling on jobless claims could make mistakes courts can't undo, experts warn. So this was, I forget which state was this.
I forgot to.
They paid Google to train its AI on jobless claim cases. And basically the AI will, Nevada, and basically the AI will look at previous claims, compare it to the current claim that's being processed, and within a minute or two, spit out, yes, this is valid. No, it's not. Whereas it would normally take a human being about 3 hours to do this. And then the humans will then review the claims to make sure that nothing has slipped through the cracks. And honestly, like, I mean, as much as it scares me, like this is actually a pretty decent use of AI, I think. I mean, it makes me a little nervous that they're doing it in a government setting like this.
Right.
But I mean, using an AI to process vast amounts of data, compare it to other known data sources, and then spit out a determination, like that's exactly the use of AI that's great, honestly.
Yeah, so. It's interesting. So they talk about how the fact is that there are 40,000 appeals behind or cases behind or whatever.
Right.
And they say like a human doing this would take 3 hours, whereas the AI can do it in 5 minutes.
Yep.
I think that actually hides some of the value of the AI because the AI can actually work decisions. Well, the AI can work 24 hours a day.
Well, that too. Yeah.
So it can just run through all the cases and then leave it to the humans to be like, okay, review what I did.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so maybe now it doesn't take 3 hours. Maybe it takes a half an hour. Well, 40 minutes.
Not only that, but like AIs and algorithms don't have some of the biases that humans come with as well. Like I'm reading Malcolm Gladwell's book, I think Talking to Strangers, and he basically talks about how if you took, there was a study that took a huge stack of judgments where people were either given bail or not given bail, and what the outcomes of that were. And they found that a computer algorithm did a much better job of setting bail for those people than judges that looked people in the eye did. And that is because specifically the algorithms had data and less emotional information, whereas the judge looking a person in the eyes making a judgment based on how someone looks, which is very subjective. And so I think like in some cases, this could actually theoretically do a better job than a human would do.
That said, it has been shown that a lot of AI has biases built in too.
Well, that's true too.
So you have to be very good with the training data to make sure that the AI is not biased. I mean, the algorithm really at the end of the day is not biased because of the training data that's fed into it. So I think it's a very delicate thing. I think this is an interesting use. I think this gives the possibility to augment people's abilities to get through work faster so that people aren't waiting months and years for these decisions, which I think we can all agree is bad. So if we can figure out something to do that better would be a great thing.
Yeah.
Although there are people using AI to do things that maybe we can all agree is not a great thing. Historic newspaper uses janky AI newscasters instead of human journalists.
Did you watch the video?
No, I did not watch the video.
You should have watched the video for two reasons. Okay. One is there's something creepy about the fact that like the AI's lips don't match the voice. Like that bothers me, right?
Oh.
The other is there's two news anchors. One's a male, one's a female. And the female, to me, and again, I could be very wrong because I'm an older dude, but she looks like she's 12, and but the voice coming out of her mouth is clearly not 12. Like so the voice and the person don't. And I know that's like a very subjective, stupid thing to say because voices don't like you can't look at somebody and tell what their voice is going to sound like.
Right.
But like it just struck me as very off-putting when I saw it. So
yeah,
for whatever subjective reason
it's like that thing that happens when you hear people on the radio, or probably when people hear us and haven't ever seen us, and then you see them and you're like, that's not the image I had of that person
like at all.
that voice, that's not what I thought. And
so
that's exactly what you're describing.
You should look at that video later.
I'm sure there's like a German word for that, like Schadenfreude.
Germany, they tend to have good words for things like that.
Right?
That's true. Yeah, they really do.
I don't know what the word is, but if anybody has one, it's the Germans.
Yeah. All right. Next up in our AI segment, OpenAI releases O1 model with human-like reasoning capabilities. So this is not out to the public yet. This is kind of an early sort of like testing release, but apparently it has the ability to do sort of multi-step reasoning. Whereas like right now it's like, hey, go create this one thing, right? And it can sort of do that one thing. Now you can be like, hey, go create the strategy for this one thing, then create all of the tactics to complement that strategy, then begin executing on those tactics. Like it can do things more like a human would be able to do them, which is fantastic and terrifying. So
right. Yeah. It's the natural progression of these things that are going to get better and better. This kind of links into the next story. We'll go ahead and talk about that too. OpenAI reportedly in talks to raise at $150 billion valuation. I've seen some random stories about this. They're talking with some sovereign wealth funds, for pitching in like $7 billion.
Yep. It's at a what, $65 billion valuation? Is that what you said?
It's $150 billion pre-money valuation.
Oh, that's right. They're trying to raise $6.5
billion is what it said.
Sorry.
But I think I read them talking to somebody about a $7 billion investment just from that one sovereign wealth fund. So this number might not be even right anymore. But look, it takes a lot of money, I guess, to do this. So
here's what freaks me out just a little bit. And we joke about Skynet, and that's fine. I'm
not joking about it.
Well, you know what I'm saying? The quality improvement from when ChatGPT first came out to what it currently is levels of magnitude. It is exponentially better, not incrementally better. It's exponentially better than its first version. The next version will be exponentially better. I think 2 years from now, we will be looking at an AI that is beyond our wildest dreams in some ways, like just absolutely unbelievable, able to do things that we would have never thought of. And like the sheer disruption of that is a little bit unnerving to me. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. I don't know what that's going to mean. Yeah, but it's going to be remarkable, whatever it is.
Yeah. Hopefully it's not the end of humanity.
I would hope not.
Yeah. You're up next.
I'm up. Sorry, I was trying to remember. All right. Nearly 40 states back Surgeon General's social media warning labels. This is a warning that social media can be bad for your mental health. I think it's good to let people know that this could be bad for your mental health. I don't think it's going to help anything. I don't think it's going to matter.
The question I had. So we've had these totally labels on cigarettes for a long time.
But the argument there is that cigarette consumption has gone down dramatically over time, right? That's going to be the argument.
But has it because of those labels?
No, obviously not.
See, public awareness. So does this do anything?
Well, I think it does raise public awareness. You and I are talking about it. Other people will talk about it. Maybe honestly, if it gets somebody to doom scroll for 10 minutes less a day, maybe that's worth it. I don't know. So.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that would be the good thing, right? If they're forced into, as you're scrolling, like every 10th position.
Are you sure you want to, there needs to be are you sure you want to do this?
By the way, You've done this for too long. We see you slipping your grasp on reality.
I'd like to see something like for every 10 minutes of scrolling, you lose 1% of happiness or something completely random and intangible like that. That'd be great. So,
and then when you keep scrolling, it's like, now you're at -2.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Speaking of intangible, Sanjay.
Yeah. Adam Newman's climate company is issuing refunds after failing to launch crypto token. So I didn't read this article, but I'm not surprised.
Wait,
I couldn't get the article. So
you're telling me that Adam Newman put together a company with a lot of hype that raised a lot of money and then didn't deliver?
He did an Elizabeth Holmes. He did a Holmes.
I'm shocked. What's crazy to me is that I think it said he raised money from some of the same people that he's raised money from before.
They're just idiots.
What is happening here? When you bet on somebody like him and he fails, and you bet again and he fails, like, what are you doing?
Because they're like, well, maybe this will be the time.
He must be the most convincing human being in person that has ever existed. Because I cannot imagine a rational person continuing to give him money like they do. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yep.
So, I mean, I've never met him. Maybe I'd want to give him all my money if I met him. I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, all right.
I mean, if you want, you can give me all your money and I'll go talk to him for you.
I'm thinking about it. I'm considering it. All right. Next up, SpaceX performs historic first spacewalk with Polaris Dawn crew. So these were the first civilians to ever walk in space. I think one of them was a billionaire, if I'm not mistaken. So, now billionaires get to walk in space.
Yeah.
To be a billionaire. You know what I'm saying?
Did you see the video?
No, I didn't see the video. No.
So to me, they basically, so they had to depressurize the entire capsule.
Yeah.
Because there's no airlock.
Right.
Fine. So everybody had to put on the spacesuit.
Right.
Okay. They opened the door to the outside.
Right.
To outer space. And then they basically poked their head up to about their waist. So their legs are still inside the capsule.
Oh, that don't count, man. You gotta be fully out.
That's what I'm saying.
It's not an EVA until you are fully out of the vehicle. That's what counts.
That's what I'm saying.
No, man, you can't just
we were
poke
talking
your head
about
out of a
this,
hole
and
you're like
and
that
others were like,
whack-a-mole
but the whole thing was outer space at that point, so that's a space. I'm like, no. When we did the the space shuttle stuff, right? They would open up the doors, and then they'd go. They were tethered, and they'd go, and then they had little jet
like flying around,
thruster dealy. Right. That's a space
twirls, little figure eights. You're
not holding on to anything. Like if you spin a little bit, you're not just grabbing on to the capsule. Like that's not a spacewalk. That's I'm like just around the thing.
That's kind of like me being like, hey, Sanjay, you remember that time we were riding down the road and I was totally out. I was all outside of that vehicle, just riding. When really what I did is I stuck my head out the window. Like that was all I did. I just stuck my head out the window. It's not the same thing. It's not the same.
That would be like saying every dog on the highway is basically all the way outside of the car.
Yeah, that's they're all pulling a teen wolf doing a handstand on top of the van. So
man, you went old school.
I went really old school with that reference. You are welcome, my friend.
I love that one.
Time for the Weird and Wacky segment.
Abominable Snowman.
He's not an axe murderer. One of the TAs turned out to be a bot.
First up in Weird and Wacky, another AI story. Man arrested for creating fake bands with AI, then making $10 million by listening to their songs with bots. Because AI and bots.
So this was not me, just to be clear. I did make songs with AI. I did not create bots to listen to my fake songs and make me money for no good reason. Just so we're all
the man's name was Adam Walker.
It was not me. Not it. Yeah, I mean, this is like the same old scam that people have done forever. It's like, hey, you can get money by getting these clicks. Let me go create a whole bunch of bots to do those clicks and then get me money. You're just stealing from people, man. That's not cool.
This is again why we cannot have nice things.
I'm saying so.
Right? Yeah. Just don't.
All right. Speaking of Teen Wolf, this is amazing. Internet picks, quote, werewolf clawing off its own shirt, end quote, as new Michigan I voted sticker. Because when you let the internet pick things, the internet is gloriously able to pick the most obscure, weird, random, amazing thing. I mean, Bodie McBoatface.
Bodie
come on.
McBoatface.
That might be the best name of a boat I've ever heard in my entire life. And it's because the internet has a weird sense of humor. And they call that back in this article, saying that
they really should have called one Votey McVoteface because,
Yes. Like, Votey McVoteface. Yes.
I mean, so this sticker is in Michigan.
Yeah.
And my goodness, every single voting election official in Michigan should order this sticker.
Oh man, it's amazing.
None of the others.
It's amazing.
I wish we had something like this in Georgia because I'm probably going to do the absentee ballot thing because, I don't want to just deal with the thing on the day of or even beforehand.
Right.
But that means I don't get the sticker. If there was some cool sticker like this, I would show up in person.
I'm saying,
and I would not stick it on my shirt. I would save that bad boy.
Yeah.
For the future.
It's the way.
Show my grandkids, be like, I voted in that 2024 election and here's the sticker I got.
I love your grandpa voice. That's a good voice. You should use that voice more often.
Sonny, here's my sticker. Is that a good voice? That was great.
That was great. Okay. Yeah. Call me Sonny. That's great.
Sonny. Mm-hmm. And next up, we've got F1 racer Lando. First of all, that's a cool name. Lando Norris just drove a McLaren P1 made of Legos. And not even just the car made of Legos. The car, it's a full-size
car.
McLaren.
Yeah.
But the motor also is the Lego battery pack and motor. And
I didn't realize the motor was Lego.
Yes. They drove it an entire lap. So wow. What do they say? It was like 3... Was it 3
and the
miles
thing weighs within 400 pounds of the regular McLaren. So this is a very heavy, very big vehicle. And back to your name, like when you name your kid Lando Norris, like obviously he's going to be an F1 racer or a fighter pilot or something. I mean, come on,
gotta be something like that.
Gotta be something amazing like that, obviously. So
I mean, his call sign's Calrissian for sure.
For sure.
So it did. Yeah. This car did a 3.66 mile loop on the track.
That's crazy, man.
They didn't say how fast it went.
I really wanted to know how fast. Obviously,
I can't imagine it's as fast as the real McLaren.
No, not even close. No.
But it's still pretty cool.
All right, next up, and we still have some more for you in Weird and Wacky. Like we got a lot packed in today. Teenager builds robot to solve Rubik's Cube. I thought, now this has been done before.
Made out of Legos too.
Was it made out of Legos? Oh, I think I've seen this before. Yeah. I've seen the video of this before. It's incredible. Didn't it solve it like super, super fast too?
I don't know how fast it solves it, but they did this with 5,000 lines of Python code. Which
5,000. Oh my gosh.
I can't solve the Rubik's Cube myself.
My son can solve it. It's just an algorithm. He does it great. He does
I know,
it. No
but that's more space in my brain that I don't need to dedicate to that. So I just keep fiddling with it.
Fair enough.
I'll just give it to the Lego robot now.
All right. Last up. What you got?
Last up, and this is the heartwarming, nice, fun story.
It's kind of amazing.
Different from Weird and Wacky. Yep. John Bon Jovi helps talk a woman down from a ledge on a Nashville bridge. So he was out there filming. First of all, that's the awesome part too. He's filming a new music video for something.
Yeah, he is on a bridge in Nashville where the public was still on the bridge. Like,
so they didn't close down the bridge.
I know.
And I'm like, what song is this that he's filming for? Right. So this woman was contemplating suicide and jumping off the bridge, I think. And
did you see the video?
Her. Yeah, it's incredible.
She's on the other side. She's on the wrong side of the rail, like on the outside of the rail. And you just watch like John Bon Jovi just like casually walks over and starts talking to her with a woman next to him. And then like they end up kind of grabbing the woman and like helping her back on the other side of the railing. And then he like ends up like hugging her, like holding on to her for a while, like to help her. And I mean, just such a cool human thing to do from like a rock legend. Like that's so cool, man.
If anything's going wrong in your life and John Bon Jovi shows up to save the day, everything's going to be fine.
I mean, And
honestly, like looking at this, this is the thought that I had. It's election season. We're coming up on the election. There is one president, vice president pick. Like I think 99% maybe even 100% of the population would vote for John Bon Jovi and Dolly Parton. I can't tell you which one. I can't tell you which one should be president and which one should be vice president. It almost doesn't matter between the two of them.
I'm voting Dolly Parton at the top of the ticket.
You think Dolly Parton first?
Dolly Parton is an amazing human being. I've heard all kinds of really interesting stories about things that she's done to help people, and she does it very anonymously.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. She takes no credit.
Yeah, zero credit.
She funded the initial stuff for the COVID vaccine, and no credit, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, it came out later, but
yeah,
and like all the things that she's done for kids with books and reading.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
tons.
It's
and
just incredible.
I heard another story about her the other day where she made a ton of money from that Bodyguard song, and I Will Always Love You. That's her song. So she made a ton of money off of that song. So she took that money and invested it in like a really, really poor part of Nashville. And like bought all the buildings and like all the land so that people's rents would not go up and they could could sort of maintain. And she did it just totally anonymously, just didn't tell anybody and owned it for the longest time. And so I mean, she just does great things. She seems like
don't you think that ticket like Dolly Parton, that's Tennessee, and John Bon Jovi, New Jersey, like I think that's a lock. Like I would be hard pressed to find somebody.
The only problem is age, man, because aren't they both close to? I mean, they're 70s,
they're up there.
80s, they're pretty.
But the way they live and the goodness of them, like I gotta believe they've got at least another 20, 30 years.
All right. I hope so.
Tech wreck, time to get your tech wreck.
Tech wreck. Chicky.
Tech wreck. Time to get your tech wreck.
All right, Sanjay, it's Tech Wreck time. What do you have for us this week?
So I've got a nice little an app. It's App Tasty.
Okay.
Like we mentioned about at the beginning of the show.
Mm-hmm.
It's worldchatclock.com. I stumbled upon this site, and it's an interesting little site. So say you need to create a meeting with people in different time zones, and you're trying to figure out when everybody's awake and at work. So you can put all the cities in there, and then it shows you a nice little graphic that shows you the overlap time of when people are at work, kind of assuming 9 to 5.
Yeah.
And then it also shows you the stretch time, because if you're in very different cities, maybe that doesn't overlap. And so you can start to pick a time that works for everybody. It's a nice little tool.
That. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I have trouble with the time zone thing. I mean, it's okay if it's you and one other person, but then you start coordinating with 3 or 4 or 5 people. It's
like crazy.
Oh, we're done.
Yeah.
Like, I think I'm going to end up having to wake up at 3 a.m. to talk to you people. So I don't want to do that.
Okay.
So there you go. So what about you, Adam? What do you have for us this
I think
week?
based on your tech rec, I'm going to change my tech rec, and I'm going to recommend, I don't know if I've recommended it before, but doodle.com, doodle.com, because you can create polls to ask people when they're available for meetings, and then people can vote on when they're available for meetings so that you can then schedule the meeting when everybody's available. So I use this for like scheduling board meetings, for example, when I'm trying to get a whole bunch of different board members on board. So it's just a really nice, easy way to make sure that everybody's can like actually show up at the same time. And it'll integrate with Google Calendar, and it'll do all kinds of other stuff that I don't bother to do. But it's a pretty neat little tool. So
and the free version is great. I mean, I
use the free version. Actively. Yeah, it's great. It's great. Yeah. So, all right, Sanjay, how can our listeners find and connect with you?
They can find me at sanjayparikh.com, but also as of late, I've started posting on Threads. So Sanjay_Parikh on Threads. I don't have as good of a handle as on Twitter, but it is.
I will say I've only noticed because Instagram really wants me to look at your threads, and so it pulls your threads into Instagram. But I don't even have Threads downloaded anymore on my phone. Oh, wow. So when I try to go look, I'm like, I don't even have that anymore.
I don't know. Yeah, but you should maybe get that. So there you go.
I'll think about it.
What about you, Adam? Where can we find you?
Just AdamJWalker.com. Go to my website, sign up for the newsletter, check it out. It's got all the links, all the things.
Dun, dun, dun.